Hi there, I'm John Lincoln with Ignite Visibility, and welcome to another Ignite Visibility University. Today we're talking about sitemaps for search engine optimization, and there's really a lot of them. So I'm going to go ahead and run through a list of the different types of sitemaps, and then I'm going to jump into some tips that you need to know for sitemaps on your website. Okay? So first, the first one I want to cover is the HTML sitemap. So generally that's just a page on your website that lists all the different pages on your site inside of HTML. That's really helpful because Google can jump into it, they can crawl the pages, it helps with internal linking, and in most cases you'll see people link to the HTML sitemap inside of their footer. And if you link to it globally in your footer, Google can go to any page on your site, they can crawl into the HTML sitemap, and then they can see all the pages on your site. So no matter where Google comes in on your website, they can find all the pages and they can index them correctly. So an HTML sitemap is actually something that's recommended inside of the Google Webmaster Guidelines, and it's definitely something that every website should have. Also, there's the basic XML sitemap. That's the most standard type of sitemap that you submit to Google Search Console. There's a text sitemap where you can just do a text file, and basically you generally do one URL per line, but it's actually not used by all search engines. In fact, Yahoo generally doesn't look at text sitemaps. The best one's going to be the XML generally, but another one is the Rss Feed Sitemap. So that's actually a great option because the Rss Feed Sitemap allows for really fast indexing. So if you need, if like people are scraping your website and stuff like that and they're stealing content and getting it indexed before you, if you can do an RSS feed sitemap and you're not like a news site but you do have content that goes out quickly, that's going to be your best bet because RSS feeds update really quick. It will go straight into Search Console, it'll pick it up and it'll get an index before everybody else. And there's some cool stuff you can do with RSS feeds in order to kind of create your own syndication so that if you do an update on your site, it goes out to other sites, links back to your site as the main authority. So it's always a good thing to use an RSS feed sitemap, especially if you want to get indexed before your competition. Okay, there's also resources of a resource, and what this was, a raw file, was basically a couple people came together and they wanted to create a type of sitemap that would be used by everybody, right? It was a great idea, didn't really catch on because everybody uses XML, but that's what that is a RAR file. And then there's of course the news sitemap. So if you're trying to get into Google News, or you're a Google News site, you need to have a news sitemap. There's a couple things that are different about a news sitemap than a regular sitemap, and of course you'll want to make sure that that's being picked up correctly through Google Publisher Center. But for a news sitemap, you only can have the last 2 days worth of news in there, okay? And no more than 1,000 URLs. Inside of that news sitemap, you have to say the publication, the genre, the date, and the title, but you don't need to necessarily specify the keywords in the stock tickers, but you can if you like, okay? So that's a news sitemap. Now jumping over into this side of the board, also image sitemaps. I can't tell you how many websites I see that don't have an image sitemap, and I'm always like, why didn't you just do that? Because you can get all your images indexed, get a ton of image search coming in, and that can help you in a lot of different ways. So you want to get your images indexed. There's also video sitemaps. There's some really easy WordPress plugins for both of those. Yoast generally makes a great image sitemap, and then the video sitemap, really easy to create also. You know, it's important to get your videos indexed so that they can show up in Google search. I actually had this website at one point where the only thing we did was take YouTube videos and then we uploaded them and got them indexed in Google regular search, and we got that thing to 40,000 visitors a month pretty quickly, which was a good win. And then the next one is a mobile sitemap. So you only actually need a mobile sitemap if you're going to be having your mobile site on a subdomain or on a different domain. And the reason that you'll have that sitemap is because you're going to specify in that mobile sitemap the relationship between the URLs, right? So basically, when you're mapping things together for mobile, you've got your desktop site, you've got your mobile site. On your mobile site, you're rel canonicalling to your desktop site. On your desktop site, you're rel alternating to your mobile site. So you can specify that inside of your mobile sitemap also. So you don't necessarily have to do the rel canonical from the mobile side to the desktop side inside of the HTML. You can do that inside of the mobile sitemap instead, which is nice because it's hard sometimes to get that in there. But you do need to have the rel alternate on the desktop side, no matter what. We have a whole nother video on mobile SEO. If that was a little over your head, watch our other video on our YouTube channel. And then the final one I have here is the index sitemap. So if you have over 50,000 URLs, you're going to create multiple sitemaps. If you have multiple sitemaps, you're going to want to list them in an index sitemap, right? An index of all of the sitemaps that you have. When I worked on a really, really large real estate site, you know, they had, I think, you know, a couple hundred index sitemaps, excuse me, a couple hundred sitemaps inside of their index sitemap that we would submit through Google Search Console. And that would allow everything to get picked up correctly. So index sitemaps, if you have over 50,000, and your index sitemap can be no larger than 10 megabytes. Okay, so these are all the kind of different types of sitemaps that you need to know about. Now here's a couple of tips for you. So first, use plugins. If you're a smaller site, you're on Magento, you're on Joomla, you're on Drupal, you're on WordPress, use plugins. It's much, much easier than trying to, you know, go another route. Make sure that you only include the URLs that you want to be indexed. If you have URLs that are blocked behind robots.txt, they're no index, no follows, stuff like that, those should not be in your sitemap. Your sitemap is only the URLs that you want to have indexed, by Google. So make sure that your sitemap is a good indication of what you want to be Google facing, right, or public facing. Okay, always want to submit your sitemaps to Google Search Console and Bing Webmaster Tools. They'll give you some data in there about what's being picked up and what's not. Not great data, but a little bit. And for large sites, you're going to want to create a custom crawler to create sitemaps. So for instance, I was working with a really, really large dental site, and it was so big we couldn't use Screaming Frog, we couldn't use Deep Crawl, we couldn't use Zenith the Link Sleuth or any of these cool tools in order to create the sitemap. So we created a custom crawler that would crawl the database, and then as a result of that, it would generate all the URLs that we have, and we would be able to use that for a sitemap. So if you're a really big site, that's a really great way to do it. And some of these things you learn through experience, right? And then the last thing, which is a bonus, take a look at your competitor sitemaps. If you look at their sitemaps, you can get an idea of what they've optimized for, and then you can reverse engineer that for yourself, and that can allow you to rank for more keywords. Okay, so these were some things about sitemaps. I really enjoyed teaching it, and I can't wait to see you guys for the next video. Have a great day.